My friend from New Mexico plays a game that the Democrats love to play, and that is to confuse legal immigrants with illegal immigration. Making a case that there's a moral equivalency is as shocking as so many other double standards that they use. What they're saying is that there's no difference between the millions of legal immigrants who have obeyed all of our laws, who have respected our country, who have waited patiently in line and done everything our country has asked of them to do, are the same as the millions of illegal immigrants who have thumbed their nose at our laws, thumbed their nose at our sovereignty, have entered illegally, aided and abetted and encouraged by this Democratic administration. And I would ask them again, how are our schools improved by packing our classrooms with non-English speaking students? How are our hospitals made more accessible by packing emergency rooms with illegal immigrants demanding uncompensated care? How is our social safety net for Americans improved by flooding the country with millions and millions of desperate and impoverished people from around the world? How are our communities made safer by making it all but impossible to deport illegal immigrants and by inviting the violent crime cartels into our communities accompanying this population? How is our homeless crisis made better by introducing millions and millions of destitute homeless people into our country? How are working families helped by flooding the labor market with cheap illegal labor? And for the purposes of this bill, how are our public lands made more accessible to Americans by closing them to Americans in order to settle millions of illegal immigrants? Now, these are not just questions that Republicans are asking anymore. These are the questions that Democrats are asking in our major cities. And the Democrats here in Washington turn a deaf ear to them as well. The numbers Mrs. Hagman's decided need to be emphasized. 2.6 million illegal immigrants have been illegally released into this country by this administration since Inauguration Day. As she pointed out, that's a population bigger than the state of Wyoming. It's actually a population equivalent to that of West Virginia, despite federal law that requires that illegal immigrants be detained while their asylum claims are being heard. And while this population of the size of the state of West Virginia has now been admitted into our country, our Border Patrol has been so overwhelmed taking names and changing diapers at the border that 1.7 million known gotaways have also entered our country. Now, these are people that we observed crossing the border or we tracked crossing the border, but we could not intercept. So we know absolutely nothing about them. What we do know is this: when this administration unconditionally surrendered to the Taliban and abandoned Bagram, 5,000 of the most dangerous terrorists on this planet were released from the Par 1 detention facility there. We know where one of those terrorists went. 10 days later, they appeared at Abbey Gate at Kabul airport and detonated the bomb that killed 13 U.S. service members. We don't know where the other 5,000 are, but I'm afraid it's a pretty good bet that more than a few of them are included in that 1.7 million gotaways. Now, in order to be a gotaway, remember this: under this administration, all you have to do is flag down a Border Patrol officer after you've illegally crossed the border. You'll be immediately processed. You'll be provided transportation anywhere you want in the country. Within 6 months, you'll be given work authorization. You're given cash and lots of other free stuff. Why would anyone go to the trouble of evading a Border Patrol officer when all of that cornucopia benefits comes from flagging one down? Well, there are only two reasons I can think of. Either they are hiding criminal records, or they're coming into this country with criminal intent. And the administration turns a blind eye. That's why this issue is so critical to the safety of our communities and the prosperity of our country and the sovereignty of our nation, and how the Democrats can take the position that they have. Again, turning a deaf ear to the cries for help from across this country from their Democratic mayors and Democratic governors. This to me is absolutely shocking. And again, it's ultimately, the gentlelady's right in one regard. We got that through the House. We could not get it through the Democrat Senate, and this Democrat president has vowed to veto it. That is an issue that has to be resolved by the American people in the upcoming election. I yield back.